the Chicago White Sox, the team of mediocrity last season, as they went
Our White Sox
81.
fans.
As for sorry, but you went 81 and 81. That's the definition of mediocre. 500 on the dot. You've been 500 overall for like the last 100 years when you combine your team. So I'm sorry, but you guys just are. We hope there's better days for your future. You have a lot of young talents, a lot of guys who've been in the big leagues for a couple of years, a lot of big talents, big potential. But not all these guys have been able to reach their potential together. So as they move, as the White Sox are moving into 2023, they're going to hope for bigger things, hope for better than mediocre, being mediocre. They're going to hope for much better. But can it happen? Can they kind of break their mini curse almost that they have of being just around 500 all the time? We're going to get right into it on the Chicago White Sox team profile. My name is Derek. I'm here with Pat. You're watching Bleacher Brawls, and let's get straight into it. So as I said, 81 and 81 for the White Sox. This isn't even to make fun of the White Sox, but just being 81 and 81, I find that's just like a perfectly just like you're not good, you're not bad, you're just right in the middle, and it feels so rare. Although maybe it's not that rare, but it just feels rare because it's like just perfectly split down the middle. But they do have some big talents on their team, and I think that's the big thing as we look at this roster heading into 2023. There is talent on this team. And I'll go to Pat first. Look at this team. Who are three key players for the White Sox heading into 2023? And out of those three, who do you think has the biggest impact for them?
I think you'd be stupid not to bring up Dylan Cease, right? Came very close to winning the Cy Young last year. I think you'd also be very stupid not to bring up Tim Anderson. If you're still sleeping on Tim Anderson, you're doing something wrong. I mean, this guy's legit, and he does it year in and year out. And he's a good leader and a good guy too. For me, and we can kind of transition to some of the transactions as well. I think the player that they're betting a lot on is Andrew Benintendi, bringing him in on this 5-year deal. This is a guy who, no secret here, Bleacher Brawls, Derek and I are Red Sox fans. We all love Benny. He has not had the career trajectory that we all thought he was going to have from 2019 on. It has not been good, if great. It's just been stopping a lot of singles, but we thought he could do more. And Chicago, obviously 5 years, putting a lot on him. They want him to do more. And I think it's very possible that two things happen. Benny finally figures it out, right? And leads this ball club, or he continues to do the middling thing that he does on what is potentially, no offense, White Sox fans, stay out of the comments, a potentially middling team.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just told Pat before he started recording. They have Yoel Moncada and Andrew Benintendi, top two prospects in baseball at one point, both of the Red Sox. Now they're on the White Sox. I found that a little funny. I'm shocked that you brought up Dylan Cease, you brought up Tim Anderson. One guy you didn't bring up, who I think could be a legit MVP candidate if he could stay healthy, Luis Robert, or Luis Robert, whoever you want to call him.
I'm sorry, White Sox fans, you're gonna be so mad at me. I'm trying to be negative. He can't stay healthy, my man. Like,
I have hope.
He's so talented. This is a guy who has different injuries. Like when we say like he's injury prone, it's like, oh well, Trevor Story got hit on the hand. There's nothing you can do about that. He got a stomach bug. There's nothing you can do about that. Luis Robert, it's something different every time, and he cannot stay on the field. He is the Anthony Davis of baseball.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy because I look at it, I'm like, the talent is just like shining. There's this shining talent there, and I'm just like, it's almost like Byron Buxton. It's like, when is it going to fully come out and be healthy? And it just hasn't done it yet. And same thing for Byron Buxton. It's just like, we want the talent, like show the talent. Like it's all there and we see it, but we don't see it enough. And it's just, we want to see it. So I think he can have the biggest impact for this team if he stays healthy. It's a big if. But for baseball fans, hopefully he does, because he has all the talent in the world. But, you brought up Andrew Benintendi, and that's a big one because he's been a steady force over the last couple of years. Nothing crazy, but he's been steady. And that'll move us into, looking at this the offseason moves White Sox made. They brought in Benintendi. They also signed Victor Reyes. But they also lost Jose Abreu, who was the face of their franchise for the last, 7 years, 8 years, however long it's been. You look at this offseason, what is their biggest move? Is it Benintendi? Is it losing Jose Abreu? What is it?
I think it's Benny. I do. And quickly back to the Luis Robert point. Never played 100 games. Okay. 2022, just last year, different hand wrist issues that wouldn't really go away. Andy got COVID. Andy had blurred vision, and he had a groin injury. None of those things are related. Okay. I mean, like the guy could not play. Like I think he's a good example, right? Can he do it? Everybody wants him to do it. But they need guys like that to play. They need Benny to step up. They need Dylan Cease to take it all the way. I mean, a great campaign last year, but that's just 1 year, right? I think it's going to be like you gotta be more consistent.
Your Moncada, Eloy
Right.
Jimenez.
Right.
They need a second baseman
the list
still
goes on.
somehow.
Listen, I would be remiss not to bring up my boy Joe Kelly. Joe is obviously a lunatic and has had some real bad seasons. He's also had some really great seasons, a lot of them in Boston, right? But he had like a 6-something ERA last year. It's terrible, guys like that, like lots of talent, not quite doing it, and that is exactly what equals 500 ball. I think.
Yasmani Grandal, can he be? He had a down year last year.
I think you could list the entire 40-man roster. I mean, for
yeah.
like everybody, you go like, yeah, he could be really good.
Yeah, if that it does, they have a lot of. I've said like Garrett Crochet, I love, but can he stay healthy? You look at the bullpen. Unfortunately, Liam Hendricks, we wish him well. We hope he can get back to the baseball field, but that's another loss. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like this team has so much talent, but just doesn't feel to be put together. I want to talk about losing Jose Abreu because I think this might be a very underrated move in terms of this. I think might actually help them because it solves a problem for them. Jose Abreu was playing first base, and it kind of forced him to play. They had Gavin Sheets in right field, he still probably seems to be in right field, but defensively, it's not good in right field. Andrew Vaughn in left field, not good defensively. Now he gets to move into first base. I think that's going to help the White Sox. I mean, losing Jose Abreu sucks, but Andrew Vaughn not having to play left field anymore is massive. I think that's huge. And now Benintendi sticks in left field. He's good defensively in left field, and Gavin Sheets in right field. I still think that's a struggle, and hopefully they can move him to DH at some point because I think that's what they need to do. But Eloy Jimenez is kind of at DH right now, so they don't really. I almost just dropped my phone. So they still have one of those guys, Eloy Jimenez or Gavin Sheets, has to play the outfield every day. But I think though, not having to play Vaughn in left and Sheets in right is going to be massive for them. Sucks to lose Jose Abreu. But it's almost like they're bringing Benintendi to replace him. Benintendi slots into the 2 spot very nicely behind Tim Anderson. And then if they're healthy, you have Robert, you have Eloy Jimenez, you got Vaughn, you've got Yasmani Grandal, you got Yoel Moncada, you got Gavin Sheets. They just need a second baseman. And if this team stays healthy, they do have talent. It's just they got to stay healthy. And I honestly don't know who the heck's playing second base for them.
Listen, if you don't know, I sure as hell don't know.
I literally look at the Fangraphs and I go, right now they have Romy Gonzalez, who last season in 2022 in the big leagues had 109 plate appearances. That's supposed to be the starting second baseman, and he hit 238 with a 257 on base and 352 slugging. That it feels like ever since they traded Nick Madrigal, I know he was injured when we traded him. But now they just have it's going to be almost like they're going to have an internal hole at second base now, it feels.
Yeah. I mean, this is a team that I think it's a division for the taking. I think that, Cleveland's strong. They're going to be hurt by not being able to beat up on Detroit, right? Minnesota is working really hard to be better. Okay. It's a good division, but it could be anybody's game. Like this, you could go the next 3 years and have 2 different division winners, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, right? And Chicago could be in the mix if they clicked a little bit, and then in the next couple of years made some pieces. It's not desolate, but it's definitely not exciting.
Yeah, I think the expectation for them is to push for a wild card spot. They could do more than that, obviously. Maybe they win the division, but I think right now, if you're looking at expectation, expectation is push for the wild card spot. Maybe they don't reach that. Maybe they do. But I think they got to push for a wild card spot. You're going to have to hope something's coming together, like health. That's a big thing, and that's really their big factor. It's health. Can they stay healthy? But I think we can talk about this for like a minute or so. But if they're healthy, they have more than enough talent to be a playoff team.
Gosh, I think the wild card situation is going to be very similar to last year's. I think you're looking at a lot of the same teams. I don't see anybody going anywhere. I don't see, unless some superstar breaks their leg or something. I think you're looking at like, okay, these are the 6 teams, right? And it's going to be a tough push for Chicago to get there. I appreciate your optimism. I like it. I'm not quite on the same train, but you can show me this video in August, and I can eat dog do when I was dead wrong.
This would be a team that wouldn't shock you if they're just below 500. It would shock you if they're in their wild card race. Just because there's so many factors that it could go one way or the other. You're just not
like,
sure.
I keep feeling like we're like White Sox fans are gonna be so mad at us, but I also feel like White Sox fans are gonna be like, yeah, I mean, like I'm not super excited by that either.
Yeah, it's like we know we're mediocre. We were mediocre last year. We're hoping, but we need health and stuff to fall our way. But I think that's the great place to leave it off. Things go the White Sox way, they could have a big year. So, White Sox fans, let us know your thoughts on the White Sox in the comments. Please let us know if you somehow stuck around through the beginning phases of it and me calling your team mediocre. So let us know. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever we post. Check out all our links in the description, Bleacher website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the career starters. The first link in the description will be a link to the playlist of all the team profiles that we've done. So check that out. For Pat, my name is Derek. You've been watching the Chicago White Sox team profile here on Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.